We have a Piers Morgan panel covering the debate and the current state of the election involving Francesca, who is a wonderful commentator and equally hilarious, so I thought that this would make for a great watchover starting here.
And I do think he modeled real leadership up there, right? In terms of like healthy eating, for example, because he forced Americans to eat all of his word salad. And I think that is a model of leadership. And I also think he was good on foreign policy. He didn't get enough credit for this. He was good on foreign policy because he can show that he can be a commander in chief. You know what I'm saying? Because every military person knows you need to have the element of surprise. And Donald Trump's mouth surprises his brain every single moment. And I thought that was perfect. And it was on full display. I mean, it was amazing that he talked about pets being harmed, because the only pet that was harmed was Donald Trump, as he was dog walked by Kamala Harris. So I love.
You're enjoying this, aren't you, Francesca?
And I mean, this is just a hilarious way to put what happened in the debate that is also oddly accurate. And look at the chagrin on the faces of the MAGA stooges trying not to even crack a smile as they know that, I mean, she's kind of going off, right? Nobody could actually think that Donald Trump looked presidential in that debate, saying that undocumented immigrants are eating our pets. And then when pressed on it, saying, I saw it on TV, getting rage baited over his crowd sizes to where he has to stop the entire debate to talk about his crowds for a minute and a half. Same with him being given millions of dollars because he's a narcissist and has to self-project a bunch of success, and then going on rambles that made no sense while dodging every question, not directly answering a single one, and refusing to expand on any policy, ending it by admitting that he has no policy plans, just concepts. I mean, how did he say he was going to do the tariffs? Oh, wait, he didn't. How did he say he was going to do mass deportation? Oh, wait, he didn't. And he was directly asked both of those. How did he say he was even going to do the tax cuts? Didn't even explain that. And that's something he probably could explain, but he didn't expand on any policy. All while Kamala stayed on topic, set traps for him that he fell for every single time, and explained her policy agenda. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Nobody who wasn't already going to vote for Trump walked away from that debate thinking, yeah, I could vote for this guy, but plenty of people who weren't going to vote for Kamala did that for her.
But Trump is big enough and ugly enough to stand up for himself. He had plenty of airtime. He had 6 more minutes airtime than Kamala Harris. He could have used that time much more effectively, couldn't he?
1,000%. Donald Trump completely failed his preparation. I don't think he prepared at all. The debate should have been over the very first question. They say, are you better off, or is the American people better off now than 3 years ago? She jumped around and jumped through hoops and turned into a pretzel, avoiding that question. Donald Trump should have simply said, hey, stop talking, or when they asked him, he should have said, don't come to me. Give her my time. Answer the question to the American people.
Yes.
So just a couple things here, right? She did answer the question first off, but also providing context as to what happened isn't jumping around. She first pointed out that they were handed a dumpster fire by Trump, which is correct. CPI, or inflation in layman's terms, had its largest single year increase since the Great Recession just before in 2020 under Trump, and was continuing to rise as they took office. Unemployment was the highest since the Great Recession. GDP was negative. Hundreds of thousands of jobs were lost. Hundreds of thousands of people had died from COVID as Trump downplayed it until he no longer could. And this was worse than the effect on any other country. Before you try not to put any blame on Trump, it's because of how Trump handled it. That provides the context to show a lot of the Biden administration had to be cleaning up that mess. I mean, Democrats often have to clean up the messes of recessions and other poor economic effects of the Republican predecessors, and this wasn't any different. Biden had to bring back jobs, get GDP back up, tackle inflation, distributing a vaccine, and once they did that, they also had many successes in other areas to put on top of it. Biden passed more legislation than any modern president. I think that's something a lot of people overlook. He lowered medicine costs, expanded Medicare, forgave more student loan debt than any president in history. Thousands of infrastructure projects were approved. Bipartisan gun legislation, the first in over a decade. Wages higher now than pre-COVID. Record stock market closings. I mean, you can go on and on about their list of successes. Acting like he has none is kind of weird, if you ask me. It's just like you're just forgoing reality for your partisan hackery, right? And she also then explained how she would continue to help everyday Americans with her child tax credit, expanding the earned income tax credit, housing assistance, small business tax incentives, while Trump just said, well, tariffs and economists love them, and didn't explain it at all, right? And mass deportation, but I can't explain how that'll work even when you directly ask me. And the standard of expectations between the two candidates for how they have to answer questions is crazy. And even considering that, Kamala still passed the bar by far.
All her background suggests she is the most progressive left-wing Democrat nominee ever. I mean, that's a fact, isn't it?
Man, I wish. I super wish. I mean, I'm a big Bernie girl. I'm a big old scary lefty. You know what I mean? Everyone would probably think I'm a crazy Marxist just because I want everyone to have health care. I wish. And sadly, I think you might be right, Piers. You know, Kamala Harris was asked about health care, and unlike Donald Trump, who quite literally has no plan. In fact, said he had the concepts of a plan, but excused himself by saying he wasn't president, therefore he didn't have a plan. Yeah, but my guy, you're running for president. But Kamala Harris also once said that she believed that we should expand Medicare and that we should lower the age to 55 and in effect be on our way to a public option, which again would help all Americans out, not just poor Americans, not just older Americans.
Oh, don't interrupt,
listen,
buddy.
Ted
Don't
Cruz
interrupt,
is best
buddy.
boy. Look, I know Ted lets you interrupt and whatever, but now you're on Piers' show. Let us talk.
This is wonderfully laid out by Francesca. At least Kamala has put forth plans and ideas for healthcare. She's expressed how she wants to expand Medicare, did so under the Biden-Harris administration, placed the tie-breaking vote on legislation that did exactly this, and then she wants to also work towards a public option for everyone. I wish that she would support single-payer healthcare. I hope that she brings back the idea of Medicare for all, though it seems at least in this campaign for this administration, these 4 years, it's not going to be. I'm hoping in the second term it could be a little different. Like, what kind of a tagline anyway is, well, she wants to guarantee everyone healthcare, guys. Isn't that crazy? Like, what a Marxist, am I right? Meanwhile, Trump admitted he had no plan for healthcare, as if he's not running for president, as if he's not a few months from being in office were he to win the election. It shows that it's just not a priority for him. He doesn't care about your healthcare. He doesn't care about your grandpa's healthcare. He doesn't care about any of that. And you know what are priorities for him? Additional rich guy tax cuts, tariffs that'll shoot up prices, and mass deportation. I'm sure that'll help your sick grandpa, right? But then again, he can't even explain how he'll do any of those except for the tax cuts. So we're looking at another term, just like the last one, where the only bill he'll probably pass is more tax cuts for the rich, if we're being honest. But at least he doesn't want everyone to have health care. I mean, that's total Marxism, right, guys?